Hey guys, today we're going to talk about what's going on with SNAP, the current status of the shutdown, and the vote that's going to be happening this evening, as well as what is in that bill that they'll be voting on. And then we're also going to talk about some of that renewed conversation about stimulus checks, especially since we are seeing some different ideas popping up around that lately. So I'm glad you're here with me tonight. We've got Kaylee helping to moderate our chat with us, and let's dive in and get that information to you. I am going to let you know I do plan to do a Q&A at the end of this video. I can already tell I'm starting to not feel very well, so we're going to have to see how that goes, but that's my hope. So if you haven't already heard, the SNAP case is currently before the Supreme Court. They have not yet made a final decision. We're going to talk more about that in a second. And like I said, the House will be voting this evening. All sorts of crazy stuff going on. So, yeah, I forgot I was going to address this. So I did get an email recently from someone who's been subscribed to this channel for a long time. We've had a lot of good conversations over the years with some concerns about how I've been handling these updates. So before we dive into all of these details, I just wanted to let you know, just kind of restate our policy about how we're supposed to be handling things here. Our goal is to help people who are low income understand and access programs like SNAP. That's the entire purpose of our channel. So, as a course of that, as things break in the news, we do explain what government agencies and elected officials are doing, but we usually only cover that when it's going to directly impact your benefits. I personally don't like talking about politics. We don't endorse candidates or parties, we don't take sides, and we judge policy decisions solely based on how those actions are going to affect low income people, no matter who's making them. So I realize over the last few weeks, as I've gotten more and more exhausted, there's been some possibly differences in how we're handling that coverage, but that's what we strive for on this channel. So just to clarify that for everyone. Okay, so now let's start with that Supreme Court decision. I was really disappointed by this. So the SNAP case is now before the Supreme Court. They're supposed to be deciding whether or not those additional contingency funds can be used to continue funding full SNAP during a government shutdown. But instead of rendering a decision in that case, they decided to extend their temporary pause on the order because it looks like the government's going to be reopening. I was hoping that they would issue a ruling anyway, so that if this ever became an issue in the future, which I think we can all agree we hope it doesn't, but it would have been nice to have that decision just for future reference, because there's been a lot of confusion about whether or not that fund should be made available in situations like this. It's no longer clear if they're planning to issue a decision on that. The extension they put on that stay runs until 11:59 p.m. on Thursday, and everybody's kind of expecting that it'll just be dropped if the government reopens. So it's not clear if we're going to get like a conclusive answer to that question that I have been dying to have answered. We do know that as of right now, at least 16 states have already issued full SNAP payments, and 5 others have sent out partial payments. And we also know that some of those extraordinary measures that were being taken to provide additional support are still happening. I saw a news report today talking about a lawmaker in Tennessee who's raising funds to distribute gift cards to people who receive SNAP. So some of that additional relief may still be available regardless. So we are going to continue tracking this situation probably throughout the rest of the month, I would imagine, just as things, hopefully the government reopens, hopefully things settle down, but we'll keep trying to track what's going on state by state at the red link that you see over there on our slides. So you can always go check that out to see what we know about what's going on. Okay, so with that in mind, let's talk about the state of the shutdown and what is in that bill that they're going to be voting on in the House this evening. We know that that vote is scheduled. The first, I think I saw that it was supposed to be happening in about half an hour from now. So anyway, I have some live tickers open over here so I can kind of track it as we go. But we do know that the Senate has passed that bill into the House. Now the House has to vote on it, right? Because that's how these bills advance. And then after the House votes on it, if they pass it, then it goes to the president. So I took a look at that bill that came out of the Senate. It's called H.R. 5371. The title is Continuing Appropriations, Agriculture, Legislative Branch, Military Construction, and Veterans Affairs and Extensions Act of 2026. It's a mouthful. Now, this bill does a lot of different things. So it continues funding for most federal departments and programs at the same levels as they were in fiscal year 2025, and it continues that funding until January 30th of 2026, or until the relevant appropriation bills are passed. So if they pass this, then we'll have the government reopened and we shouldn't have another issue, hopefully at all, but at least until January 30th. Now, it does something really interesting. So most things are funded until January 30th, but things like SNAP and other programs run by Agriculture, VA, or the legislative branch are funded until the end of the fiscal year, which would be in September. So even if we have another big showdown in January, SNAP should not be an issue if this bill is passed, because this bill provides that full year funding for the USDA. So that at least is comforting, right? Yeah, that would be nice to not have to worry about that again. There are some other things in here, though, that are really interesting, too. So, again, full disclosure, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a researcher. I've been looking into this stuff for years. So we know that this bill, and I guess that's one other thing I should disclaim to you, too, right? So we're talking about the bill that the Senate passed. We know already that there are people in the House of Representatives that want to amend this and make changes. If they do that, then it goes back to the Senate and they have to vote on it again. I am just going to operate right now because we don't know if any of that's going to happen. Like, this is what we're dealing with. So we're talking about the Senate bill that passed, just for clarity. This version of the bill blocks the USDA from enforcing those variety rules that we talked about in another video, probably weeks and weeks ago now. But the USDA wanted to make this change that was originally done in 2016, but just never went into effect, I guess, where in order to accept SNAP benefits, different stores would have to offer a different, more complicated variety of food. And this was going to affect a lot of convenience stores, mom and pop shops, rural retailers, different stores that didn't necessarily maintain that variety, because a lot of that variety was going to include things like perishable items, things that are harder for those stores to stock. And if they couldn't stock them, then they weren't going to be able to take SNAP, and it was going to be a whole thing. But this version of the bill basically says that they can't enforce that until they add more variety to the list to make it easier for those retailers to be able to continue processing SNAP. The bill also fully funds SNAP and adds two $3 billion reserve funds as well. And it also provides dedicated money for tribal nutrition and education programs and demonstration projects. It also lets states keep using some employment and training and admin funds over multiple years, because we've seen some of those funds be debated lately too. Now, when it comes to WIC, this bill also fully funds WIC with actually multi-year funds through 2027. And it also ensures that WIC keeps the fruit and vegetable cash value benefit at the higher amount, and that those vouchers are adjusted for inflation. So that'll be really helpful for people on WIC, assuming that this bill passes. Another thing I was excited to see in here is that it gives $460 million for the Commodity Supplemental Food Program. Now, if you haven't heard about that program yet, it's one of my favorites, and it's one that's been pretty contested in the last couple of months, so I was worried about what was going to happen to it. I do see comments asking about stimulus checks. We're going to get to that as soon as we're done talking about the bill. I just saw that come through, so I added it to the back of our slide deck. But the Commodity Supplemental Food Program delivers boxes of food for seniors over the age of 60. And it's just a great program. It's available not in all areas, but in a lot of areas. And you have to talk to the organization in charge of distributing it to get on that. And Kaylee, you might be able to drop a link or an article for it. Anyway, if you go to the website and look up CSFP, that's the program I was just talking about. The bill also sets aside $10 million for the Farmers Market Nutrition Program, which is when you get those vouchers, usually from WIC, and you can go buy stuff at the farmers markets. It also lets the senior farmers market nutrition program funds stay available until September 30th of 2027. And the the senior farmers market nutrition program is the one that gives out those farmers market vouchers, often through senior centers or area agencies on aging. And you can take those to the farmers market and get food from those as well. So those programs are included in the Senate version of the bill. Now, we also know that there are some changes for healthcare as well. This bill does continue the Medicare telehealth flexibilities, which is huge because I know how important those have been to so many of you. So those are going to be continuing as well. And then it also provides funding for SHIPs, area agencies on aging, that sort of thing, to do outreach about Medicare and stuff like that. So, that's what I found in the bill that I thought would be relevant to you. Now, of course, there's a lot of other stuff in there as well, but that's not necessarily under the view of what we really look at in this channel, so I left some of that out. Now, like I said, this still has to be voted on the House. If the House passes it, then it goes to the President. If the House decides to try to change it, then it goes back to the Senate to be reconsidered. I did see an update pop up on my ticker right here saying that they are expecting some creative maneuvers that are probably going to make the vote take longer than it's normally would. And I don't have time while I'm on here with you to read that in great depth, so I'm not going to expand on that. I had hoped to be able to postpone this video until they voted so that I could tell you what was going on. But then I realized that that might take much longer than any of us think. And I just saw an update come through that they've approved the floor rule for the funding bill with 1 hour of debate. So now they're back to debating. So here we are. So before we dive into the Q&A, though, I do want to talk to you about the stimulus check stuff, because we saw a huge surge in that over the last week, which was really surprising to me, because usually we just hear bits and pieces here and there, but there was a lot of posts made specifically by the president on Truth Social about various means of getting money to the people. So I just want to go over some of what was said so that you can know what's going on. I know every time posts like this come out, there's tons of different headlines in tons of different places, and it can be hard to track what's going on. So on November 9th, President Trump made a post on Truth Social about tariffs. And you can see the post over here. There's quite a bit to it. But at the end, he says, a dividend of at least $2,000 a person, not including high-income people, will be paid to everyone. Now, I know that sounds like a promise, and he talks about it coming from money from tariffs and things. The Hill says that any proposal like this would probably need congressional approval. And right now, the Congress is still trying to figure out how to reopen the government, so I wouldn't count on that happening necessarily anytime soon. We did also see in other coverage of this that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that he had not discussed the idea of a tariff rebate with the president yet, and there was no specific proposal in the works yet. So if this does happen, it's not going to be happening anytime soon, it sounds like. We do know that earlier this year, Senator Hawley introduced what was called the American Worker Rebate Act of 2025. That proposal has not advanced. It's still said it introduced, which means they haven't really done anything with it. But that proposal would provide checks of at least $600 to eligible low-income workers and their families. In order to get that particular proposal, you have to be someone who files a tax return and you have to have a social security number. But like I said, that hasn't advanced. But that could be possibly a framework for what they're thinking. I don't know. As of right now, it looks like no official action has been taken on that. But certainly if that changes, I will come back and update you. But I also thought this was interesting because also on that day, the president went on Truth Social and said, another big long post, of course, but the end quote here is, Republicans should give money directly to your personal health savings accounts. And this is, to my understanding, an idea where instead of giving those subsidy dollars to the health insurance companies, they would put them in flexible spending accounts or health spending accounts directly for the people. And this is something we've heard talked about off and on. We know Senator Bill Cassidy has also proposed this. The Paragon Health Institute has talked about it. As far as this proposal goes, I don't think we're going to see anything concrete come out about this until the shutdown resolves, because the ACA, or the Affordable Care Act, has really been a hinge point in the shutdown, where that's where a lot of the conflict is coming from. And I'm expecting, I shouldn't say expecting, I am hoping that they're going to vote to reopen the government. We're going to get the government reopened right away so that that SNAP can start flowing, and then we'll see how this goes. Anyway, hopefully we get an update on what's going to go on with those subsidies soon. But anyway, I wanted to update you as to that, because that's another thing people are floating as a stimulus check, even though it would be basically a healthcare fund. So with that in mind, sorry, I'm getting distracted by both the chat and this running ticker I have of what's going on in the house right now. It looks like they are going, we can get into that later if you guys have questions. I geek out about a lot of this stuff. So I never know if I'm going into too much detail for you or not. I always want you to have the information that you need to make, good decisions and just to know what's going on. But I realize that sometimes I probably go into more depth than you probably want me to. I'm ready to jump into the chat now. If you have questions ready for me, I can hear you typing furiously over there, Kaylee. I know you're busy dropping links and doing all the amazing things. While she's finding questions to highlight for me, Chapter is amazing. We're getting so much great feedback from people who are calling Chapter and having amazing experiences getting help with their Medicare. So certainly it's still open enrollment season. If you've got Medicare, make sure you give those guys a call. But let's dive in and, okay. Are we getting a $2,000 stimulus check? Not at this time, but it is still being talked about. So I don't know, hopefully maybe at some point. That's what we just went over in that slide. I think some of these questions come in before we get to that point in the video. So just be mindful of that as you're highlighting, Kaylee. All right, I'm a senior from Maine and my SNAP benefit went in today, but I'm afraid to touch it because I'm afraid they may take it back. What should I do? This is a great question, Linda. So we know there was a lot of uncertainty over the weekend, right? Some states sent out money and then the USDA was like, well, you need to take that back. And it got really confusing and really, really scary. Now, what we do know is that the states that sued in the Massachusetts case got a stay. Basically, the judge in that case said, okay, the USDA can't make you take that money back until this gets sorted out. So a lot of those states that have already sent those benefits have said they are not going to be reclaiming those funds. They can't do it right now. And if the government reopens, it should be a non-issue. So I would recommend that you just go on and use your card as normal. That's what a lot of states are telling their residents to do. They're just saying, hey, you got those benefits. You're okay to use them. You're not going to get in any trouble. Go buy your food. It's going to be fine. So that would be my advice to you as well, is don't be afraid to touch it. The money's on your card. It's going to be okay. Go shopping. And then hopefully when the government reopens, we can just put all this behind us and it'll be a non-issue. So, okay. Alrighty. So Amanda is saying, when are we getting the full food stamps and in all states? And if you only get $16 when you get over $100, are we going to get the back money? I believe so. So I looked over the bill that the Senate passed, and it looked like they were going to basically continue this fiscal year at the prior year's funding. So I'm not a lawyer or anything, but to my reading, it sounds like their intent is to retroactively fix the issue. The bill was also really good about making sure that people who were furloughed got back pay, things like that. So I think that you're probably going to get that back money. As for a timeline, that I'm a little bit less sure on, because we still have to get this vote to come in, and I am optimistic that the vote is going to come through. It just sounds like there's going to be a lot of hoops to jump through before they finalize it. Once it is finalized, then the president has to sign it. Hopefully that won't take very long. But then a lot of states said that it would take at least several days before they could handle all the processing required to get that out. So hopefully not too long. But I don't know the exact timeline yet. I am hoping within a week, but that's just me looking at the situation and making guesses based on what I'm hoping will happen. Oh, thank you so much. I'm not entirely sure how to say what looks like your first name, but thank you. I appreciate that. That super chat's very nice. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Deb says, here's what doesn't make much sense. There are some states that haven't even received money for partial SNAP benefits. We're being told no benefits until the government opens up. So that's where SNAP gets really complicated, right? Because it's a federal state partnership. So we know that the USDA has sent the funding to the state for those partial payments, but a lot of states, depending on where you live, they're not running new systems. Their systems are old, they're outdated, they're clunky. It takes a lot of time to change the calculations and get stuff done. I read some information that made it sound like some states may have to manually calculate everyone's benefits. And based on what I read in the USDA announcements, it sounds like it wasn't just going to be a straight 65% cut. It's a 65, or it's not 65% cut, a 35% cut so that you get 65% of the benefits. But they were going to do that off of the maximum allotment, which then changes the whole calculation. And the calculation is ridiculously complicated. We've gone over that in other videos. So for some of those states, it's just a lot of paperwork and math and headache. And that's why the USDA was saying it could take weeks to months for some states to roll that out. Now I realize how unfair that sounds, because there are people in other states that have already got their full allotment because their states moved fast and did stuff. It just really depends on where you live, and that's really hard. And I'm sorry, Deb, I wish I had better answers for you. Yeah, one of the things I want to look into when we finally have some breathing room, because our team has just been swamped trying to keep up with all this shutdown stuff. One of the things I want to look into is more detail on how the states are handling their tech and why it takes some of them so long to do things. Yeah. All right. My SNAP benefits show pending, but the amount is 25% of my normal. Yeah, Renegade, that's that cut. And because it was a change to the max benefit, it just causes that cascading change. I really got frustrated when so many of the news outlets were like, oh, it's just a 35% cut across the board. But the USDA was always very careful in announcements to say that it was 35% of the max allotment, which, I don't know, if you don't geek out about things like the way their algorithms work, it probably sounds like it's just what it is. But I'm so sorry. Hopefully they get this vote done, and hopefully they're able to just get the rest of that to you. I want to answer this question really quick. Bushman says, is there a way to give your channel local information as it comes in by state agencies? Yeah. So best way to do it is if your state has any sort of like feed or newsletter they send out, we can subscribe to that and get that information straight from them. If you ever have something that you found that you want to send to us, we have a couple of people who've been great about emailing us information over the last couple of weeks, which has really helped. You can always email tips@lowincomerelief.com, and that will get it to us so that we can make sure we're able to incorporate that information as well. We always appreciate when people want to send us tips, because although we have expanded the team greatly over the last couple of weeks, trying to keep up with breaking news in all 50 states is an awful lot for, I think, a team of any size, but especially a team as small as ours. So when do the food stamps start? So they've already started in some states. The partial payments should be rolling out. Those should still be in process. And then as far as like going back to normal, that's going to depend on how long this vote takes. I actually have a silent video playing over here so I can see what they're doing. It's hard to tell with it on silent, though. I just see people talking. So we'll see how long that takes. Let's see. Oh, I already answered that one, darling. I was clicking on stuff while you were busy. Kaylee's getting very good at multitasking over the last couple of weeks of helping us with comments. So let's see. Oh, good. Achoa is saying that in Connecticut they got their full amount, which is awesome. All right, Brooke says, if the state paid your SNAP, do we still get back funding from the government, or will they not give it to us? No, if your state fronted that cost, they are probably going to recoup that money when it hits. I doubt any of them. This is, of course, I haven't seen anything in writing, but I would personally doubt that. Hang on one moment. I'm having a hard time processing that question right now. Let me look really quick. Sorry, guys. I always feel bad when I have to handle family stuff while you guys are here with me. I mean, if it has to be done, go ahead and. What's the timeline on that? Do I have 20 minutes? If I can have 20 minutes, that would be great. Sorry about that. Family stuff all the time. For those of you who don't know, I work from home and I have 5 kids. So sometimes things get a little bit crazy here in the home office, which is historically, by the way, why we haven't done a lot of live streaming. But we've been trying. Sweetheart, that is the same one I told you we already did.
Yeah, looks like I already sent it. 'Cause I don't know how
Okay. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys and all of the encouragement that you send into our team. We really are doing our best over here. And I have to tell you, like, I'm always going to be honest with you guys. Up until about 15 minutes before we started this live stream, I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to do it today just because I am so unbelievably tired from all of the news coverage that we've done. I am really hoping that we get this opened up so that we can go back to our normal videos here on this channel. Melissa says, how confident about lasagna love, food safety, and whatnot? So that's a great question. One of the things you need to be aware of when you're ordering from Lasagna Love is you are ordering food from a volunteer who's cooking in a home kitchen, right? This isn't coming from a restaurant. It's not coming from anything commercial grade or certified in any way. It's being prepared by a volunteer in their own home out of the goodness of their own hearts and their own budget. So you have to evaluate how comfortable you are with that. For me and my family, I'll just be honest with you. We host community potlucks every week, so I'm used to eating food that's made in other people's homes and it doesn't bother me. But if you are sensitive to certain things or if you have concerns about that, that's something that you'd need to think about. It just depends on your personal preference. So what about work requirements to get SNAP? Yeah. So those went into effect. Let me grab that information for you really quickly. Should have had that tab up because I kind of figured we were going to get those questions. So we know that at this point, if you're between the ages of 16 and 59 and able to work, you most likely need to meet the general work requirements in order to get SNAP benefits. So there are a lot of different ways that you can meet that. It's not necessarily strictly getting a job. You can also meet those if you're participating in what's called SNAP Employment and Training, which is a program that your state can run to help people on SNAP match with job opportunities, get training, that sort of thing. You can also, sorry, you can also volunteer. And there are some, and going to school usually counts as well. But you have to work, what is it, about 80 hours a month on average in order to meet those requirements. Now, if you're disabled, you are exempt from those. There are other exemptions, such as taking care of a person or a child under the age of 6 or an incapacitated person, participating regularly in an alcohol or drug treatment program, different rules like that. I know we did a video a while back on SNAP work requirements, but I know it's been a while, and now that those are hitting, if you guys would like us to do a video on that, I would be happy to put that together for you. Honestly, with all the burnout that I'm feeling just from the constant news updates we've been covering, if you guys have suggestions for information that you need or videos you'd like to see, we love being able to channel that into our research pipeline and get those answers for you. It really helps. So feel free to suggest things. Okay. Do both mom and dad get $2,000 if they release it? I don't know. We haven't seen anything in writing outside of social media on that yet. So we've heard the president say a couple of times that he wants to do these tariff checks for $2,000, but we haven't seen any like concrete proposals yet. So one thing I do know, I'm kind of assuming, and maybe I don't know how reliable that information is, but I do know that in Senator Hawley's proposal, which is in the Senate, that was going to be paid per person, so for the adults and the children in your household. But that was the $600 checks that he was proposing in that bill that we went over a little while earlier. So it's just going to depend on if, first of all, if this proposal goes beyond just a statement and gets written up as a formal proposal or announcement, then we'll have more information on that. Oh my goodness, thank you, Craig. I really appreciate you. That's very generous. Thank you for doing that. That really helps our team. I appreciate that. Just to answer another question about those tariff checks, if you don't pay taxes, are you still eligible for the $2,000? I don't know. I've kind of been referring to Senator Hawley's bill as kind of a benchmark. And we know that in his, you have to file a tax return and have a social security number. We also know that when the Doge rebate checks were talked about earlier, that was going to be for people who were working jobs as well. Now, just having to file a tax return doesn't necessarily mean that you have to owe taxes in order to get that. We know that to get some of the stimulus checks, there were seniors who get Social Security who had to file a tax return in order to get that in some instances. So we don't know for sure yet. I wouldn't be surprised if filing a tax return was a requirement. But in order to owe taxes, I mean, there's a lot of credits and circumstances out there that can negate your tax liability so that you don't owe. So I don't think we'll know that exactly for sure until we get more concrete information about it. Now, sorry, Kayla, I just superseded you, I think. Okay. Patricia says, what if you spent your food stamps? That's awesome. I think that's good. If it came through for you and you spent it, you should be good. If you've already received your November allotment, I don't think you're going to get another one when the government reopens. But the good news is, oh, I had a question I was going to click on. Yeah, here we go. So Kyle was asking if full SNAP benefits will be paid in December or half. So the good news is, even if you already spent your November allotment and you're not necessarily going to get another one, if the government does reopen and this vote does go through, December should be fine, right? And we should be back to normal. And that bill that they are voting on, that the Senate approved, carries SNAP funding through September 30th of 2026. So we can all breathe a little easier and know that it's going to be good, at least, until September. And hopefully we don't have any more of these big drama shutdowns in the future. But yeah, that's what I'm hoping on. Okay. Melissa says, does it count if you've filed for disability as far as a work requirement? So if you have enough documentation to file for disability, you're probably going to be okay. So they have said that a letter from your doctor explaining why you can't work may be sufficient. So I know filing for disability usually requires a lot of paperwork, and they may want to see some of that paperwork. But yeah, now going down the road, if the disability is denied, I don't know exactly all the ins and outs of how that's going to work. I have been awaiting answers from a couple of different agencies, and they're not very responsive during the shutdown because obviously the staffing is lower than it ought to be. So we'll be following up to get better answers for that as soon as we are able to do so. Okay. What if you only got partial SNAP for November? When the government reopens, will you get the rest of it for November? You should. That's my understanding of what's going to happen, is that when the government reopens, that funding should be able to make up the difference in what you received, I believe. So, all right. Well, if you have additional questions, please take this opportunity to drop them in the chat, because Kaylee is saying that she is caught up. Now, I know she's also responding to comments as well with links, which I really appreciate, because in a lot of cases, if you ask a question, I'm going to refer you back to the website, because that's where our research team drops everything that we're finding. So I appreciate her being in there to help, and hopefully that's been helpful to you guys as well. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. That is so nice of you to say. I really appreciate that. It is the great honor of my life that I am able to be here and help you guys and answer these questions for you and put out this content. So I appreciate that. I'm so glad that it's actually helpful to you guys. Yeah, let's see. I live in Ohio and got part of my food stamps today. Yes! I'm so glad for you, Mama. That is great. Hopefully the rest of it's coming soon. I know that it's been so confusing when there's so much variation between the states. So Let's see. Oh my goodness, Bushman, thank you. I really appreciate you guys. That is incredibly generous of you. Thank you for doing that. You guys are so awesome. Seriously, thank you. So I want to grab this one really quick, Kaylee. I'm going to click on one. I know that messes you up when I get in there and I do your thing. Lauren is saying, I'd like to work part-time and keep my SSDI. Do you have any advice on how to do that? Yeah. So I actually checked in with the research team this morning, and we're getting a really good list together of work from home opportunities. I know one of the biggest challenges when you want to work part-time and you're on disability is, let's be honest, there's a reason you're getting disability, right? I love a lot of people in my personal life who grapple with disabilities, and most of them would love to go back to work, but there's medical reasons why it's really, really hard, you know? Michaela, you need to take that out the door really quickly, please. That is a very important call, but I can't handle it right now. Thank you, darling. And so, as far as being able to work on SSDI, I think work from home opportunities have a lot of great flexibility that makes it easier. So we're trying to get that information out as quick as we can. So hopefully we'll get that one done here in a couple of days. Sorry, I got really distracted by that phone call and I kind of lost where I was. All sorts of life stuff getting away in the way of this video today. I do apologize for that. Dexterity says, will people with no income get the stimulus? We don't know until more details are released. Right now, these are just words that are being said. Most of the information is coming from social media posts. You did shut that door, right?
Yes.
Okay. We have other people in the house who can be very loud, so I try to make sure the office is closed up while we're on video. So right now, both of them are, we're looking at social media posts. We don't have a lot of concrete information. Once we have that information, you guys better believe if something's moving with stimulus checks or anything that's going to offer you like direct financial relief, we are going to be all over that. And we will have another video for you as soon as we have concrete details. But it all depends on if those things move forward. So, okay. Oh my gosh. You guys are just so generous today. Seriously, thank you, Richard. You are wonderful. Okay, Katie says, haven't found an answer. If SNAP funding was available before this shutdown, then why were we told there are no funds? They just magically disappeared. So it's all legal stuff, right? And the answer to that is so complicated. So we know that the regular appropriations for SNAP, so when Congress says this is how much money the SNAP program has for the year, that ran out. So then they went to the SNAP contingency fund. And originally they said, there's not enough in the SNAP contingency fund to fully fund SNAP. It's going to be too hard to do it partially. We're just not going to send it until the government reopens. And then there were lawsuits, and they had to issue the funds from the partial SNAP contingency fund. They drained that fund to issue the partial payments. And then there is another contingency fund, though, and it's called Section 32. And that's what they're drawing from to pay for things like WIC. And they said that there's enough funding in the Section 32 fund to fund all the child nutrition programs through June. And it has plenty to pay out the full SNAP amount for this year. They only need $4 billion more. And that's what's going before the Supreme Court right now, which I was really hoping to get an answer on, was whether or not those Section 32 funds would have to be used in the instance of a government shutdown. It looks like the Supreme Court is just going to keep that stay going until the government reopens, hopefully. I mean, everyone that I've read is expecting that to happen tonight. So I don't know if we're going to get an answer as to whether or not that fund should be used in this kind of a situation or not. So really, really hoping we would get clarity on that, because as much as I don't ever want this to happen again, it would be nice to have like a concrete decision on what would happen if it were to happen again.
Someone responded to saying you were generous with that.
Oh, okay.
What's happening?
We have dueling clicks going on. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Bushman. I'm so glad that we've been helpful to you. Like, that is our ultimate goal here, is just to do whatever is going to be helpful to you, right? Like that's the whole reason I started low income relief, is because I wanted to be able to find those programs that are hard to find and find the information that's confusing and try to make it easier for you guys. So thank you. Honestly, you guys, just by being here and watching our videos, you are what makes this whole thing possible. So I'm just so grateful to all of you guys. George Henry here says, in West Virginia, as long as you have a statement from the doctor stating that you are disabled, you are exempt from the work requirement. And that is a wonderful thing. So thank you for sharing that, George. I really appreciate that. Okay. MZ says, why did some states release the full amount of SNAP? I missed the beginning of this live. So no problem. By the way, you can always rewind if you want to. But basically, we know that 20 states, or was it 25 states? I think it was 25. Anyway, a bunch of states went to Massachusetts and sued the federal government because they wanted to release the full amount of SNAP. Like, this is what they wanted to do anyway. And so when the courts initially said, yeah, they have to, they moved really fast to send that out. I can't speak to their intent. I know there was some conflict, like when the DOJ filed their appeal, they were like, well, the states knew we were going to appeal this. They shouldn't have sent it before we appealed. And the states were like, oops. And that's basically what happened. It was a risky maneuver. We know that the USDA then issued guidance and said, you need to take it back or you're going to face penalties and there's going to be all this stuff that's going to happen. So I think that's why some states didn't, right? Some states just put on their website after the ruling came in and they were like, we're going to wait until this thing shakes out because we don't want to do anything that could get us in trouble. And other states were like, you know what? Do it. So that's why some states got the full amount and some states didn't, was because some of them just moved fast to get it done, and others were more cautious. So it's really not fair. I realize, like I think I've told you guys before, we've moved around a lot. So I've had a lot of instances where I've lived on like border towns by state lines, and you go shop in one state and you go home to the next state because you're just right on the border and it's like 2 minutes away and it's just a thing. And it seems really unfair when you're on one of those lines and your neighbors 2 miles to the north are getting benefits, but you're not. Like that. It's a really difficult situation to be in, but a lot of this does run at the state level and it just gets complicated. All right. Mr. Retro Angel says, don't get it. All my neighbors got food stamps in full, but mine never came. That is weird. That is weird. Without knowing what state you're in, I can't blame it on any of the state-specific variances I saw. I do know that in our shutdown list, as we've been updating that, we did see that some states were going to like expedite things to certain people that met certain requirements. I don't know if that's still happening. You should have at least gotten the partial thing, right? That's odd. If you want to email us at like team@lowincomerelief.com with some more information about like what state you're in and stuff, I'll see if I can dig up some answers for you. It is possible that your case was up for like recertification or something and there was like paperwork that was missed. That's a pretty common reason that you wouldn't get SNAP when other people do. But that does seem odd to me. I would need to investigate that further. See. Oh my goodness. Hang on. I just saw a comment. Oh, where did it go? Oh, it jumped. I wanted that comment really quick. Where did it go? Okay. Lisa Greengrass. Sorry. I love this. You just asked. Well, honey, just because you're responding to them in the chat doesn't mean you shouldn't highlight them. People who watch it later don't always see the chat. Lisa says, any places you can recommend that help someone with hearing aids? Yes. Please go watch yesterday's video. We did a whole video on how to get help with hearing aids. But this is the really frustrating thing, right? Because the way the YouTube algorithm works, the videos we do about specific help like that almost never take off. Like they're seen by 1 to maybe 3,000 people, whereas videos like this one are going to be seen by many, many more. I don't know exactly all the ins and outs of why that happens, but we absolutely just did a video yesterday on hearing aids. So lots of resources there for you. But also this is a good opportunity to highlight the way that YouTube works, if you're subscribed to our channel, even if you have notifications enabled, it's not going to tell you about every video we do. It's just not the way it works. So the best way to make sure that you don't miss any of our content or resource lists on our website or any of the help that we find is to make sure that you are subscribed to our email list. We send 3 emails a week right now. I think it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And we just recap like everything we found between emails so that you guys don't miss any stuff. So it's the best way to make sure you don't miss anything. Oh, like accessories with hearing aids. Okay. That is a great question. I will dig in and see if we can find more with that. I know, did you post the video link or the article link, darling? Article link, yes. Okay, so the articles on the website always have more detail than the videos. For the videos that we create, we try to keep things pretty relevant to a whole nationwide audience because we know some of you are in tiny little states, some of you are in big states like California. We try to make sure that what we're saying in video is going to be relevant to as many people as possible just because I know nobody wants to sit through a video that doesn't apply to them, right? We've learned that over the years because I used to try to go state by state and it did not go well. Got lots of feedback on that. But on our website, we can go into all of those details. And so we have a huge long table in this thing with all the different resources that we found. And it's possible that there may be something in that list that could help you. And I know Kaylee already said she dropped that link. So hopefully that's helpful.
I just looked into it and found a website that offers hearing aid
Okay.
accessories.
Until we, hey. Some of those sites are a little bit sketch.
So
I
we
want to,
could- we could
if
look at it later.
if you're linking to something that I haven't vetted yet, give me the chance to look at it when we're off the video before
Yeah.
you post it.
Yeah, it was
So,
needed to make a
okay,
video.
yeah. On the job training, still going on. But she's getting really good, I think. I'm really glad to have her help in here. It really helps. Okay, what do we got? Yeah. Okay. Why did some people in Texas get the full amount, some half, some 1/3, and some none? That's a great question. Everybody was supposed to get at least $16 under the recalculation that they ran. So I'm not sure why some people got none. That seems odd. As far as why some got full, some half, some 1/3, my best guess, I guess that wouldn't account for why some people got full. My first thought was, well, with the recalculation of the max benefit, that's going to trigger like a wide variety of ranges, but then people wouldn't have gotten the full amount either. So I don't really know. I will have to dig into that and see if I can find those specifics for you. Let's see. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Real. I appreciate that. I'm doing my best to help you guys stay updated. For the journal, that's something we're offering from hope.help. Can you drop the direct link? It's lirlinks.com/hope. Can you grab that for me really quick? Just, yeah, real quick, make sure that's the right one. And then if it loads as it should, yep, there it goes. Put that in the chat for me, sis. Thanks. So for those of you who haven't already heard, we have another channel that we run called Hope, which stands for Healing, Optimism, Positivity, and Encouragement. And Kaylee's actually doing a lot of videos for that channel now. She's been working on building that up. But we just want to put like good news out there and encouragement and positivity and happy things, because I know I'm feeling overburdened by negativity right now. I'm sure you guys are probably under a lot of stress too. So we created this journal. It's called Mastering Your Circles. It's been super helpful for me. It's been something I've been talking to my kids about a ton too, and we're offering it to you guys for free at the link that Kaylee just dropped in the chat for you. So hopefully that'll help you find it. If you go to that link, it should be easy to grab. So, okay. Alrighty. Oh, thank you. The Armchair Cat Advocate is reminding you guys to like the stream. I always appreciate when you guys do that. It really helps get our video out there in front of more people. That's honestly one of the biggest challenges that we've had running this channel over the years is I'm never going to lie to you guys, right? I'm never going to make a video just to be sensational, to get attention, to try to like get the word out. And I'm not going to ask for shares and stuff like that. I figure if you guys like the content, you're going to share it. And if you don't, then that's fine, right? So we've had a hard time getting our message out in front of more people, but I really appreciate when you guys are watching, commenting, liking the videos. All of those things help us get out a little bit better.
What's the email for our team?
Email for the team? team@lowincomerelief.com. Or if it's a news tip, it's tips@lowincomerelief.com. Are you typing it in or are you adding it to your notes? Okay. She's got so much going on over there. She's awesome. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, my chat just jumped again. I was about to respond to somebody. Let's see. Yeah, I know. I see a lot of you asking for links, which I really love that Kaylee's over here able to answer your questions with links like that. So, yeah, MZ, I agree with you. It's a blessing to live in a state that moves fast, and I am definitely praying for everyone as well because this has been rough, right? Like this, we're headed into what's supposed to be the happiest time of the year, and I feel like we've all been under a lot of stress. And I'm so sorry. Like, I genuinely wish there was more I could do to help resolve that for you guys. Yeah. So, let's see.
Someone says
Oh, I have good content. Thank you. That makes me happy. That's our goal, is to get stuff out that's helping you guys. You are awesome. Hey, did you see this one? They said, hi, Kaylee. Great job. Just want to make sure you're seeing all that too. We got more requests for the state information, so if you want to drop that, that'd be good too. All right. Oh man, Brandy says Iowa didn't get anything. I called today and the worker told me they didn't know when we will get our SNAP benefits. I know those partial ones are still in the works, but like I said, some states can take weeks or longer to work through all of that. If the government reopens, they should be able to issue it much faster, because then it's just the same calculation they usually run and it's not going to be complicated at all. So we're hoping that that'll happen. From what I'm seeing, and I haven't had the time to look into this in depth because I'm just looking at my trackers that I have up here. It looks like from what I read, they are going to need, was it 215 votes to move forward, I think? And I'm seeing that they got 213 in a preliminary vote. So I'm optimistic that something will happen. But yeah, nothing's for sure till it happens, and that's hard. Okay, what else do we got?
I'm at the bottom.
Okay. Yeah, this is how I feel too, Richard. We appreciate having the truth, even if it's not good news. I feel the same way. For me, uncertainty is the worst, right? I don't like not knowing what's going to happen. If it's good news, that's great. I love good news. Good news is my favorite news. But if it's bad news, I would rather hear it straight than be stuck in limbo. So throughout this entire situation, the not knowing and the back and forth and the changing of minds of things has just been absolutely unnerving to me. And I'm sure it has been for you guys too. I mean, it's just been crazy. I'm so desperately hoping we're at the end of this. Like, whew, hoping. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I'm so glad for so many of you who are saying you got the full amount, because that's good. Oof. Do we have to give back our SNAP benefits? No. The states got a stay from the judge. So the judge has issued a stay, and the USDA cannot take back those SNAP benefits right now. You're fine. You're good to go. You can spend it. You can use it. Most states are telling you to just go use your card as normal. If you received them, you're good to go. Now, there was something, okay. So some of you have expressed concern about LIHEAP and the utility assistance programs as well. So I just want to let you guys know, if you are having a hard time staying warm right now, even if LIHEAP isn't open in your area because they're waiting for the government shutdown to end, there are other forms of utility assistance out there, and I would encourage you to go look for them. And I think we did a video on this. Now that
And I dropped the link.
Oh, thank you. Now that I have oh, nope, that's not the right one though, darling. That was, I don't know if we've updated that one for this year, actually. So for this free space heaters link, I don't know if we've updated that recently. So just hold on that. It should be lowincomerelief.com/LIHEAP should do it. But there was another one. I don't remember if we made the video yet or if I just assigned it to the research team, but we were digging up all the different ways that you guys could get utility assistance. I don't know where you are. I know where I am. It is getting very cold. So I'm worried about you guys. I know a lot of states are waiting to process LIHEAP until the government reopens, but usually your utility company, they often have like discounts for seniors or people with disabilities. Sometimes it's not much, but it still helps. There's other programs like budget billing was really helpful to us when we were going through a hard time with some extreme weather. And there's other organizations. Oftentimes, St. Vincent de Paul can help you with utilities, lots of different things like that. So if you're having a hard time staying warm, please look into those options. And if you don't have a way to heat your home, I am going to go put that space heater list back in our research queue. And hopefully the government will get reopened, because I know a lot of the organizations that give those out tend to get funding through programs, whether that's LIHEAP or a different grant that they receive. So I'm imagining a lot of those are probably paused right now, but hopefully we'll be able to find some to help you guys out. So, all right. I feel like that was a really long-winded answer and I just rambled. I do apologize. I am trying. Okay, so Mary is saying that they emailed and emailed y'all, haven't heard back from y'all. Why? To be honest with you, we are just massively overwhelmed and we're doing the best we can. I know Stephanie is responding to all of the emails that she can respond to. And if you haven't heard back, it's probably because it's a question Stephanie can't answer without my assistance. And my backlog of work is just astronomically bad. If that's the case, then it's in a list that I just haven't had time to open yet. Trying to get these videos out and do these live streams every day has taken up the majority of my time over the last couple of weeks. I spend every work day preparing for the video, and then I live stream with you guys until I have to go feed my kids dinner, and so I haven't had a lot of time to keep up on inquiries. So if you're waiting for a response to an email or a YouTube comment or a Facebook comment, or anything like that, the problem is probably me and my schedule. And I will try to get that answer to you just as quick as I can. I have been amazed at just how many emails we've received recently, and I do apologize that I'm the bottleneck there.
I already put one up there.
Okay, May says, I've missed a lot of the live stream, but I was wondering if there's any truth to that $2,000 check. So before, when it was brought up, I was telling you guys to ignore it because it was just a flippant comment made in an interview. Now it's been posted on Truth Social, but it's still just a comment, right? We haven't seen anything move forward in an official way yet. A lot of news outlets are kind of ticking me off because they are acting like it's a real thing. In trying to fact check all of this, I was seeing headlines like, when are we going to get the check, when you're going to get the check, and all this different stuff, but none of those details are out yet. Which is really frustrating. And I understand why they're framing it that way, because I mean, they're going to make money posting that, but anyway. So it's still being talked about. It just hasn't been formalized yet. I don't know if it will be. I'm hoping. The fact that it's been a persistent thought that's been brought up at least multiple times is at least a little bit encouraging, I think. But we'll see what happens with that, because we don't have any details. There's nothing official yet. Sorry, I feel like that wasn't a great answer. I apologize. We probably need to get going here soon. And Kaylee, when we get off of here, can you remind me to buy a new light? Because my studio light is giving me headaches every day, and that's not good. Okay, let's see. Oh, you guys are awesome. Let's see, did you have any other questions for me, Kaylee?
No.
All right. We could probably do one or two more questions if you guys have any that you want to drop into the chat. Otherwise, I think we are probably going to sign off for the day. And I am going to go get myself a different studio light, because I have got to not have these kinds of headaches when I'm on air with you guys. Let's see. Yeah, Chris says, from what I saw, it's for working class people. Not sure how to take that. Yeah, so we have, like I said earlier, we've seen a couple of updates talking about the need to file tax returns and things like that. Nothing's official yet, though. So Ooh, this is a fantastic question.
That's what I
Um,
highlighted at the
sorry,
same time
sorry.
as you.
Okay, well, I know you've been here for a little while, but I'm still not used to having help. I'm learning. Okay, sorry. Herma says, what's the difference between ESAP and SNAP? And this is a fantastic question. So ESAP is not a replacement for SNAP. It's actually something that affects the way that you apply. So it stands for Elderly Simplified Application Project, and it's a great way to help you get SNAP more consistently, and it also reduces the paperwork on your state. So what they do is they basically say, if you are retired or if you're on disability and you don't have income that fluctuates, then you can apply through ESAP, and that will make it so that you don't have to recertify as often. Sometimes you can go up to 3 years without having to file paperwork with the office, and your benefits just continue. And instead of having to recertify every 6 months or every 12 months or whatever, you go 3 years and then you recertify, and then it's another 3 years. And that way, because at that point, if you're on disability or you're on retirement, you're on a fixed income. Your income's not changing. They can get your COLA information from Social Security, and they don't have to worry about anything else. So that is really, really helpful. That's why I love ESAP, because I know there are so many people who qualify for SNAP and should be getting SNAP, but then they miss a letter and they don't send in their paperwork and they miss a deadline and then their benefits stop. And it's just hard sometimes to jump through all the hoops to get them back again. So ESAP just makes that a little bit easier, streamlines it out so that you can continue getting those benefits without interruption if you don't have fluctuating income. So that is, yeah, that's the difference there. Let's see. All right. Oh, that's a good question. Mary is saying, can we put our email in the actual comments on a video, not just in live chat? So that's a good idea. I was told, Stephanie told me today that they were getting a ton of emails, and we usually don't get that many emails. I will try to post it in the comments on the video. Just know that like the more places we post it, the more of a backlog we're going to have, and the harder it's going to be for me to respond. So, yeah, okay. Let's see. Yeah, Mr. The Golden Rule. He who has the gold makes the rules. It definitely feels that way, doesn't it? Yeah. Yes, this is also true. You can watch the House arguments on the government shutdown live right now. I'm not able to listen to it, but I have the feed up here just because I'm watching the tickers of what's going on. But that information is available, and hopefully we get to a decision. Let's see. And oh my goodness, wow, thank you for choosing to watch me when you could be watching that. That's kind of amazing. Bushman says, how do you requalify for ESAP? So basically, not all states have ESAP. If they do, you just need to talk to your office in charge of SNAP and just be like, hey, do you offer ESAP? Okay, how do I move forward with that? And they should be able to help you figure it out. Basically, it takes the application, which is usually really long because you have to submit, your income and all this other stuff. Makes it really short. I think they said the average ESAP application is like 3 pages. But you can talk to them, and the office in charge of SNAP in your state should be able to help you out with that. So, alrighty. Yes, Always Learning also pointed out that you may, there are situations where you may owe your gas or electric company, but then they can't shut you off. The dates for this vary, and not every state has it. But what we're talking about here is a winter moratorium, which is basically, it's usually a state law, and it says, okay, utility companies, they may owe you money, but you can't disconnect them. It's too dangerous. And so when that ends, if you haven't been paying your bill, you're going to owe a lot of money, and it's going to be really hard. But at least you're not going to be disconnected in that time. So that is definitely something to be aware of. It really helps to know those rules in your specific state, because it can bring you a lot of comfort if you find yourself in a situation where payments are difficult. Okay. Do I have to have an online Social Security open account by November 19th in order to keep SSI or SSDI? I haven't seen anything about that. Let me just look really quick, because that is news to me. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything from an official source that would make me think that that is legit. Now, I do know the government is not doing a fantastic job of updating their websites right now because of the shutdown. But I'm looking here. I know they really are pushing. They really do want everyone to have a My Social Security account for a lot of different reasons. But I haven't seen anything about a deadline of November 19th, and it wouldn't make sense to me why they would do that when the government is currently shut down, because a lot of the extra support and help that you would receive in opening that may not be available. So I would say no, Gypsy, but I will dive in and just be extra sure. So I will do some research on this and get back to you if I find out otherwise. But I don't think that's legit at this time. So, okay. All right. Clement says, does that mean people with... I know, I'm sorry, Kaylee. Clement says, does that mean people without a job can't be approved for SNAP benefits? No. What I was talking about before was ESAP. ESAP is just a special application for people on fixed incomes. If you don't have a job, or if you do have a job, you can still apply for SNAP. It's income based, so as long as your income is below a certain amount, you shouldn't have any issues. Yeah, hopefully that clarifies. I don't want anyone to think that I was saying that people without a job can't be approved for SNAP. You can get SNAP if you're homeless. You can get SNAP. Oh, you know what? I guess there's an addendum to that. The able-bodied adults without dependents rules now have a work requirement. So if you don't have a job, if you don't have a job, you are limited to a 3-month time frame, at which point you have to meet those requirements. So you either have to be going to school, or you have to be meeting the work requirements, or volunteering, or things like that. So that is probably what you're talking about. And I totally spaced it because my brain was still on ESAP. So yes, you can get SNAP without a job if you do not have a dependent, you don't have a qualifying situation that makes you exempt, and you're not like retirement age, then you would have to meet the work requirements. Sorry. Wow, I probably need to sign off here soon. Bushman says, please re-explain the no shut-off of water, gas, electric winter months. Okay. So this is more common in northern states than southern states, but a lot of states have what they call a winter moratorium, which is basically a fancy way of saying that there's a rule that says they can't shut you off in winter. Now, the dates for this vary dramatically by state. Sometimes that's going to cover you from October to May. Sometimes it's going to cover you from December to March. It just depends on where you live. And if you guys are interested in this, we can go do a whole write-up and figure out things and do a whole video on this. But basically, during that time, if your state has one of these winter moratoriums, it means that the utility company can still accrue the debt. You're still going to owe your bill. They just can't disconnect you for non-payment during that time, is all that means. So, yeah. Okay, I'm starting to fade. We probably gotta, What are you doing? Oh my goodness, Tammy, thank you. Welcome to the community. There is all sorts of cool stuff in there that Stephanie puts together. So if you guys are joining the community memberships, you're going to want to go look at I don't know if this comes up automatically for you or not, but you'll want to go to like the posts tab, I think is what it's called. Maybe it's the community tab on our YouTube channel. So you go to the channel and there should be a little tab that says like community or something like that. And there will be links in there for different printables and resource guides. You get to unlock all sorts of different like specialty emojis that we made that are super fun. We've got like an EBT card emoji and like a social security card emoji, just a whole bunch of little silly stuff we put together. There's all sorts of fun stuff in there. But anyway, hopefully that helps. Whew. Yeah, okay. I am going to go ahead and sign off for the day, I think. I really appreciate you guys being here. You guys are amazing. Yeah, so I am not entirely sure what our video is going to be on tomorrow, but we will absolutely be back here with a video. I am hoping that it will have something to do with the government reopening and everything being okay again. We'll see what happens because it's all going to depend on those votes. If you guys have something specific that you'd like us to cover, by all means, please let us know. We've got a pretty good research team in place now, so we're able to address more of those things than we were able to when I was the only one doing research. Happy to help you guys connect with resources in your communities, seriously. And if you're not subscribed yet, to our second channel, which is Fast Facts by Low Income Relief. I'd recommend that you go do that because I think we've got to the point now where we're putting daily videos out there too. I'm not 100% sure, but I think we are. They're not live, they're pre-recorded. So I know I've recorded a bunch. I just don't know if they've made it through the pipeline to be posted yet, but lots of good stuff coming out there as well. So, alrighty, well, I will see you guys tomorrow, and I hope you have a very wonderful